the Instagram Stories Flash Briefing. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. You can find me on Instagram at Daniel Hill Media. I want to talk really quickly about an Instagram bug which was discovered last week, but the company says that it's fixing an issue. This article comes from The Verge. An Instagram bug showed a camera on indicator for iOS 14 devices even when users weren't taking photos. Here's how it worked. If you are in the iOS 14 beta mode, you might have seen an indication on the screen that your camera was on, which would be a green button, while you were using Instagram, like just scrolling through the feed, not in a way that would use the camera inside the app. If you've been following the iOS 14 beta closely, there have been new user notifications which alert users to app behaviors with things like clipboard copying. Several iOS apps, including TikTok, LinkedIn, and Reddit, were discovered to be accessing users' clipboard content, since whenever a third-party app accesses the clipboard of a device with iOS 14, a notification pops up. This is unrelated to what was going on with those apps and the clipboard, but it's interesting how iOS 14 points out things that are going on. An Instagram spokesperson said in an email that the behavior was a bug and that it's being fixed. The app's create mode is accessible from the Instagram camera, which could set off the camera indicator, and swiping into the app's camera from feed could also mess things up a little bit. Here's the quote from the spokesperson. Quote, "We only access your camera when you tell us to. For example, when you swipe from feed to camera. We found and are fixing a bug in iOS 14 beta that mistakenly indicates that some people are using the camera when they aren't," the spokesperson said. The quote continues, "We do not access your camera in those instances and no content is recorded." End quote. Just as a reminder, the beginning of August is coming up very, very quickly. Why does the beginning of August matter? Because a Facebook spokesperson had told TechCrunch very recently, quote, "We're excited to bring Instagram Reels to more countries, including the US, in early August." As a reminder, Reels is what Instagram's offering is to compete with TikTok. I'm telling you this now because at the least you have 7 days notice that it's going to launch. It might be more than that. It might be 2 weeks. It might be 3 weeks. But first mover advantage is a real thing. I'm going to tell you, based on my personal experience of what happened with Instagram Stories when it launched, how things will go. When Instagram launches Reels, everyone will create Reels saying, "Go follow me on TikTok." But the people who spend the time to create really good content in Reels, or if they're creating content that's really good in TikTok already, also posting it in Reels, are going to do extremely well, especially if you already have a built-in audience in Instagram. People will spend their time on Instagram Reels trying to figure out what they can do with the app, how they can be creative, how they could make things different than what they already have with IGTV, feed, stories, going live, and so on. And if you already have a strategy for this, you're going to be light years ahead of everyone else. So really start thinking over the next few days what that strategy is going to look like. One of the things that's really cool is that you can do this test in TikTok now and start experimenting. See what works, see what you enjoy creating, and see what resonates with an audience. Then when Instagram launches Reels, you can put in a great piece of content every single day that shows you already know how to use the platform in a way that very few other people do. And you're going to do really, really well with this. If you have questions, send me a message at Daniel Hill Media. I would love to talk about this topic. That's it for today's show. Come back tomorrow for more Instagram news, tips, and tricks. If you think about it, if attention is like currency, and I'm telling you about a feature that's going to get you attention before it drops, it's kind of like I'm like a stock person, except this is something where you create instead of own. But then you own what you create. Mind-blowing.